All right, once again, the usual suspects on the left are seething and they're brooding about the inherent awfulness of another American tradition. Writing in Psychology Today, Christopher Ferguson notes that it's the season for Thanksgiving, and we can look forward to some members of the glitterati giving thanks by dumping on the holiday itself. We're told that the holiday celebrates genocide, and news articles repeat the myth that the first Thanksgiving celebrated a massacre of Native Americans. Of course, that's all absurd. The only thing that makes the left in America truly happy, this time of year especially, is grousing about how we're all living, I don't know, on stolen land.
You, who call yourself an activist, an ally, an accomplice for social justice, we see you making plans for Thanksgiving.
I don't celebrate a proper Thanksgiving because the cultural demolition and genocide of the indigenous people of this land is not something I feel like celebrating.
Celebrating Thanksgiving is celebrating racist genocide. Gobble, gobble.
How about celebrate taking a shower every now and then? What a shame she won't be joining your Thanksgiving table. But on the bright side, most Americans see all this complaining as just another exercise in self-loathing by spoiled, entitled ingrates. And most people will happily celebrate Thanksgiving with family and friends. And as 2022 draws to a close, the angle is grateful for so much. Number one, we defeated the man who was behind more COVID lies than Hunter Biden was behind prostitutes. Dr. Anthony Fauci, always wrong, but never in doubt, had the nerve to show himself at the White House today. His lounge act is way past its expiration date.
People who have correct information, who take science seriously, who don't have strange way out theories about things, but who base what they say on evidence and data, need to speak up more, because the other side that just keeps putting out misinformation and disinformation seems to be tireless in that effort, and it's going to be very difficult.
More on that in a bit with his chief nemesis at the White House and one of his targets. But number two, we're grateful for all those parents who work tirelessly to fight exposing the school boards for being radical cesspools of sexual deviancy and racial hatred.
Bathroom is still not safe for girls. Porn books are still on the shelf of school libraries, and parental rights are still being ignored. Cultural Marxists are hard at work to brainwash our children.
Focus on raising our rock-bottom test scores and do away with exposing minors to sexually explicit material.
Where is the math? Where is the reading? Where is the history? Where are the strong values?
Now, more responsible adults are running for school board positions and refusing to stay silent. That's really great news. And politicians now know that parent power, it's a real thing. Third, we're grateful that for the defeat of the woman who speaks like she's kind of suffering from appendicitis.
We laid out very consistently and I think thoroughly, including in our last hearing where we walked through President Trump's intent at each stage of this effort to overturn the election.
Guys, good riddance to the Bush-Cheney years once and for all. Fourth, we're thrilled this Thanksgiving that conservatives, led by Ron DeSantis, stood up to Disney and other woke corporations when those businesses turned on middle America. Things had gone so far into the toilet for Disney after it injected itself into the gender fluidity issue that this week we learned that the company was firing its CEO and bringing back its retired CEO, Bob Iger, to try to fix things. Fifth, despite ballot harvesting, early voting, and everything else the Democrats tried to do to game the system, Republicans won the popular vote in House races for the first time since 2016. Now, that happened in part because we saw an exciting new generation of populist candidates running across the country, including Hispanics and African Americans. Sixth, for the second time in 12 years, liberal House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is going to be forced to give the gavel to a new Republican speaker. Now, we're going to miss her, of course. I can't say otherwise, especially her press conferences and her assorted antics.
And as a Catholic, I resent your using the word hate in a sentence that addresses me.
My whole mission in Congress is about the children, for the children. You're in the arena, you have to be prepared to take a punch. You have to be prepared to throw a punch for the children, for the children.
Well, the good thing for Nancy is now she's going to have a lot of time on her hands to do other important work, like pouring through that footage from police body cams and her home security system from the night her husband was viciously attacked. If anyone can get answers there, Nancy can. Seventh, we have huge gratitude for the fact that the court finally ended the scourge of Roe versus Wade. Now, this issue was never something that should have been read into the Constitution, and now it's properly left up to the states. We can all thank 50 years of hard work on the part of the pro-life community that never gave up on standing for life. This outcome was worth it no matter what the political fallout, period. Eighth, on the thankfulness list, we cannot forget the red state governors who continue to stand as a beacon of sanity and common sense to the rest of America. At states like Illinois and California, they continue to bleed population and breed crime. Well, Florida, Texas, South Dakota, Tennessee, Mississippi, Georgia, they're doing it right. They led us by opening up during COVID, and they're leading us still. Governor DeSantis' 20-point re-election win was a stunner. Florida's no longer a swing state. That's because of him. Neither is Texas, by the way, flipping to Democrat anytime soon. Governor Greg Abbott and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick both cruised to re-election. Ninth, thank you to Lee Zeldin's strong run for governor of New York. The GOP flipped 4 seats in the Empire State, with more to come in 2024. Now, this was a big step, and everyone should send Zeldin a thank you note for campaigning as hard as he did. And in the Golden State, liberals felt the heat when we won 11 seats in the House, with one more that still hasn't been called. Next, the governorship of California and the state house races. We got to start somewhere, though. And culturally, on the gratitude scale, there were some bright spots as well, which leads me to number 10. More adults finally see the inherent evil in butchering children's reproductive organs and messing with their hormonal makeup. We're seeing hospitals like Vanderbilt's transgender health clinic pressured into stopping these surgeries for children. And states are taking action to ban these surgeries for minors in their own areas altogether. Alabama, Arizona, they've already have bans in place on gender-affirming care, and that's for kids, and many more plan to follow suit. If we're successful in stopping these, quote, surgeries on children, we're going to hear fewer painful stories like this.
Well, I was 12 years old when I first started to experience gender dysphoria. Pretty much all of the medical professionals kept pushing the idea that transition is the only path forward to treating dysphoria.
Wow. 11th on the thankfulness list. We're now seeing even some on the left waking up to the reality of and the danger of TikTok.
Donald Trump was right. I mean, TikTok is an enormous threat. If you're a parent and you got a kid on TikTok, I would be very, very concerned. All of that data that your child is inputting and receiving is being stored somewhere in Beijing.
By the way, Mike Pompeo said this in 2020 on the Ingraham angle. And we're even seeing cultural victories at the box office. We're thankful for Top Gun, where Maverick was the highest grossing film of the year, the 5th highest grossing movie of all time, bringing in $1.44 billion at the box office worldwide. Now, this movie was at its core kind of a tribute to the Reagan era, when we had no hesitation, remember, about calling out communism and standing for the USA.
Captain Pete Maverick Mitchell. Let me be perfectly blunt. You are not my first choice. You are here at the request of Admiral Kazansky, a.k.a. Iceman. He seems to think that you have something left to offer the Navy. What that is, I can't imagine.
With all due respect, sir, I'm not a teacher. Just want to manage expectations.
And finally, on a personal note, I have an enormous amount to be grateful for. First, my children, 2 teenagers, and 1 on the cusp. Well, they make life worth living day in and day out. And of course, my real friends, who love and support us, all of us as a family, unconditionally. And come on, my Ingraham Angle crew, all of them. I love each and every one of them. It takes a lot to put on this show every night, and I'm just the one that you see on camera. But we all together make it work. I'm so grateful for all of them. And finally, I'm grateful for all of you, the viewers, who've been with us from the very beginning and who stay with us night after night as we try to inform and entertain all at the same time. Thank you. And that's The Angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.